Welcome back to the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. We just want to take a moment before we get started to acknowledge the untimely passing of former Denver Broncos wide receiver Demaryius Thomas, who was found dead over the weekend. He was 33 years old. We know he's sorely missed by his family and his friends, and may he rest in peace. All right, another crazy week, this time with just weird stats. Are you ready for this? So the Colts move into the sixth playoff spot. I think they went from sixth to ninth back to sixth yesterday without even playing. They didn't even play yesterday. Didn't do anything. That has to be a record of the most playoff movement for a team that didn't even play. The Raiders embarrassed themselves by getting their asses handed to them after they intentionally held a pregame huddle on the Chiefs midfield logo before the game, pissing all the fans off. And the Chiefs went on to just destroy them 48-9. And they swept them this year with a combined score of 89-23. I don't know why teams do shit like that when they're struggling like the Raiders are, but that's probably why they'll have a new coach next year. By the way, the Chiefs-Raiders score was the first time in NFL history there was a game that ended 48-9.
It's called a scoregami.
It's called a scoregami. That's right. That's right. So as of right now, week 14 on Monday afternoon, we still have Monday Night Football to play. As of right now, at the end, almost the end of 14 weeks, I can't be completely dramatic say at the end of 14 weeks because the Raiders and the Rams still have to play. This may change tonight. But as of right now, not one team has clinched their division. I don't know that's never happened, but I'd be curious to know if that's ever happened before. This whole week is just weird. I've got more. If you got time, I got more. The Bears-Packers game was the first game to have 5 touchdowns of at least 35 yards or more in one quarter since 1925.
Yeah, wild second quarter. I think it was 21 points from each team in the second quarter of that game.
Yeah. But in the end, Aaron Rodgers once again made his case for Virginia House McCaskey to just transfer over full ownership of the Bears to Aaron Rodgers, right? He owns them. Never truer words spoken this year than he owns the Bears.
And the discount double check curse. It was the first play for the Packers on offense. Aaron Rodgers gets sacked, and the defensive lineman that did the discount double check, and Aaron Rodgers goes on to throw 300 touchdowns or 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, what'd you expect to happen there?
I don't know. You think these guys would learn? I don't know. It's like the Raiders.
That's their owner.
Yeah. It's like the Raiders holding the huddle on the Chiefs logo. You're not that good, pal. You do that shit when you can back it up, not when you're not sure about what's going to happen. Tom Brady. I know you couldn't wait to talk about this. Tom Brady broke yet another NFL record, quarterback record yesterday when he passed Drew Brees for the all-time record for completions. He now has 7,156. I think he's I don't mean this is disrespect. I mean this is disbelief. I think he's a full 1,000 ahead of Peyton Manning, who I think is in 4th place if I remember looking at that correctly. That's ridiculous that both Brees and Brady had that many more than Manning. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. The other thing is that Brady's not going away anytime soon. He's bar an injury, and I know you don't like the guy, but you don't want to see the guy hurt. But bar an injury, that's the only way that guy's going away in the next two years or so, unless he just rapidly declines. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only – I feel like he has – if they win a Super Bowl again this year, he'll probably call it quits because he's talked about over the last 2 or 3 years that he – can keep playing. He thinks he can play until he's 50, but he's missed so much time with the kids already and the whole family situation. So I'm just hoping to God, one way or another, he's done after this year. I'm tired of it.
Yeah. I got to counter that. If he wins another one this year, he will come back to do a three-peat. You know he will. He will.
Yeah, probably. I don't want him to, but probably.
And I heard that Bruce Arians said recently that they didn't even expect to win the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, he expected it to be this year.
And for them to get better. Brady's not going anywhere.
Gronk.
Can he put up 8,000? Can he put up 900 more?
I don't know. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
A lot.
A whole lot. I mean, we're talking 40 or 50 a year. The answer to that is probably no. And finally, this just in, Matt Nagy and Urban Meyer still have jobs.
Somehow, some way.
What a shit show in Jacksonville. Man, I read an article yesterday or this morning that said somebody said we started to figure that out at the end of October that this wasn't working with Urban Meyer. I was like, where the fuck have you been? This hadn't been working since the summertime. I don't know. Well, this guy thinks he's a soothsayer. Mr. Obvious catch up. This has been a shit show since the very beginning, and his apathy, throwing his coaches under the bus. I don't understand why he still has a job. I really don't know why they haven't just started clearing this out already, and make a statement. But anyway, also I wanted to bring up to you guys the Steelers, the first down dance that cost the Steelers. It could have cost. It probably cost the Steelers the game.
Legitimately, probably cost them the game, because that whole situation with the ball getting knocked out of his hand after that, like that probably ate up 8, 9, 10 seconds.
10 seconds. I watched it. I rewound it and watched it. It was 10 seconds. I forget how close they were. Were they inside the 20? They legitimately in the red zone?
Either inside the 20 or right near the 20, yeah.
10 seconds is an eternity when you're in the red zone. 2, maybe 3, probably 2 plays. Cost them the game. Showboating. It's crazy.
Yep. After you had been down the whole day, and then you fight and clawed your way back in the fourth quarter, and then you just go and think about yourself before your team. Like, that's kind of stuff that separates the good from the great right there.
That's right. It's absolutely right. So anyway, that was the introduction. All this and more on today's episode of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. All right, here we go. Welcome back to another edition of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. This is week 15 already. We are coming down the stretch. We have three games left. Is that right?
4 games left.
Yeah, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's right. Everyone has their buy-in. Anyway, I'm Brad.
Hey, this is Zach.
And I'm Hefe.
So we want to invite you to join our Patreon community. We keep talking about it. We're going to have a lot of options, a lot of changes. We're getting set for next year. Join us early. Get in now, and we're going to set things up in the preseason. We're going to have an amazing season, a lot of stuff to offer next year. You'll want to get in on this. Go to horsemansports.com right now and join us there. And we certainly appreciate your support. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go on over to horsemansports.com and join us on Patreon over there. But before you go, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss any content we're dropping here on YouTube, and find us on Facebook and Twitter at Horsemen Sports. And did we mention you can catch both shows, the weekly breakdown of Fantasy Central, Zach and Hefe on WUBI, Ubiquity Radio, on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So, all right, like always, we start with the weekly Pigskin Pick'em leader. Zach, do you know who the leader is this week without cheating?
I've looked earlier, so I already know what it is.
It's Hefe. Hefe, is this your first week this season? It's been a rough season.
Last week going into Monday Night Football, I was ahead, and then I got Monday Night Football wrong. So I tied last week, but
okay, all right.
Finally number 1 this week.
Yeah, it's been a rough season. It's been a weird season. And if anybody's paying attention, which I don't know if they are or not, but Hefe and Zach and myself are the top 3 this week. So
that's right.
All has returned right. All is right in the world.
Who did you guys take for Monday Night Football? You guys took the Cardinals, correct?
Cardinals.
Yeah, I think so. I would like to go on record and say that I should be tied with Hefe today. But you know what I did?
Oh, yeah. Of course, they had to deal with the Vikings game.
Fuck them Vikings. I switched my pick and took the Vikings.
That's funny. I switched when I heard Dalvin Cook was playing, I switched my pick back to the Vikings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I took the Vikings, right? Right. I took the Vikings, and then I don't remember.
I think I think you told us you were taking the Vikings.
Yeah, and then I switched it to the Steelers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I had something to say. I don't even know what to say. They do it to me they've done I think only 1 week out of the last 2 seasons. Maybe 2 weeks that I've gotten the Viking pick right. I don't know.
Well, and I was telling Zach last week, like, you finally broke the curse, and then, in Raiders fashion, decided to dance right on top of the curse, and it was like, oh, you think so, huh?
Touche. Very good point. Anyway, so hats off to Hefe for leading this week. Probably gonna, I would imagine, probably win this week overall. So
yeah, he will, because with all the news coming out with the Rams, half the Rams roster being on COVID, I switched my pick to Arizona. So Hefe's going to clinch it.
Yeah. So, and that at the beginning, when I talked about that a team hadn't not clinched yet this year in week 14, that's probably going to happen tonight with the Cardinals. They're probably going to clinch their division with a win. So, okay. No bye weeks. Bye weeks are over. Colts become the most successful bye week team in the history of the NFL yesterday.
Yeah, legitimately.
So the first game up this week is the Thursday night game, the Chiefs at the Chargers. Where the Chargers, wasn't their win against the Raiders the 6th in a row for them? Is that right?
Who? The Chiefs?
Yeah, they're tuning this thing up, boys. I'm taking the Chiefs. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah,
this is where we start to separate men and the boys, and I'm not betting against the Chiefs at this point.
Yeah, they're looking really, really good, and actually, they have a chance of taking over the number 1 AFC seed spot here this upcoming week, because the Titans are playing at Pittsburgh. I mean, that's kind of a toss-up game, right? You would expect the Titans win, but Pittsburgh shows that they're decent, which we'll talk about that later. And then you have the Patriots going to Indianapolis. So if both of those two, the Patriots and the Titans, lose, the Chiefs could very well find themselves in the number 1 seed in the AFC if they take care of business going to the Chargers. I think it'll be a good game, but ultimately, yeah, the Chiefs are just looking really good right now. So you cannot take the Chargers. You have to go with the Chiefs here.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. You look at the way the Chiefs have been able to adjust. We hear pretty much every week when you watch a Chiefs game, they'll talk about how every team is starting to play in the same, a lot of cover 2 shells, make sure you're not getting beat over the top. And Andy Reid and his coaching staff have done a good job in turning this vertical offense into more of a West Coast offense and get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quick, run the ball a little more, some outside zones and things like that. And then you look at the defense, they've gotten healthy, got some guys back. They put Chris Jones back in the middle of that D line. And Chris Jones. And even without L'Jarius Sneed there, which was very unfortunate situation. Hopefully he's back on the field soon. They all dedicated that game against the Raiders to L'Jarius Sneed and his family. And I think they're going to keep playing well. The defense is balling out right now. And there's as much as I like Justin Herbert and what he's done, he's the first quarterback to throw for 30-plus touchdowns in the first 2 years of his career. That's impressive. But we've seen at times this Chargers offense get stagnant. With as good as that Chiefs defense is, I expect this to be another one of those games. But should be a pretty good Thursday night game here.
Yeah, I think it will be too, especially because it's going to be in Los Angeles. But overall, again, I'm not betting against Andy Reid at this point. They're hitting on all cylinders. They like you said, they've made some adjustments. They look good, and they know what they're up against. They all know what they're up against, and they're too good to let this opportunity slip. So we're all three taking the Chiefs. The next game up is Saturday at 4:30, and it's the Raiders at the Browns. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in the Browns, even though I think they're capable. We've talked about that. Mayfield's hurt. And the Raiders have just been kind of wobbly. They've been stumbling. They showed signs of greatness. They have all year. They've had a lot of problems, a lot of controversy. You hate to see it because you want to see how good a football team can really be. But I think they were in a high-speed wobble and they hit a rock, and with the Chiefs, and I think that ass beating they took the other night may have just broken what they thought they were capable of. I have no confidence in the Raiders going here out, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go into a complete tailspin and drop most of the remaining games. Cleveland knows they're trying to get in. They know they have to win. They're at home. It'll probably be bitter cold. I don't know, maybe with climate change, it might be, sunny and 78, who knows, but I'm taking the Browns.
Yeah, I agree everything you said with the Raiders. It sure seems after the John Gruden thing, they came out, they won 1-2 games afterwards, looked good, but ever since then, completely been bombing. And yeah, I agree. The Chiefs spanking them the way they did this last weekend probably broke their backs, without a doubt. On the other hand, with the Browns, I think they're finally getting healthy. They're starting to click better, even if they do have some bumps and bruises. Baker's still not 100%. They came out and they beat a good Ravens team. I know Lamar Jackson got hurt in that, but his backup there is playing very well in his stead. So they had a huge game against the Ravens. They came out on top. They moved 3 spots up, but they're still on the outside looking into the playoffs. I think they're going to take care of business here at home against the Raiders. They are favored by 6. I think they will cover that spread, and they'll definitely be in the hunt to move up into the AFC wild card if the Colts or the Bills cannot take a win this weekend. So I like the Browns here at home.
This is a tough one for me to pick. Because I've been rooting for both these teams. I'm a Derek Carr guy. I like the underdog to win, so I want to see the Browns do well. But what this comes down to for me is the fact that I like Derek Carr more than I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's a better quarterback, but I like the rest of the Browns team against the rest of the Raiders team. If you take out the quarterbacks, everything else, when you line it up and compare it side to side, I like what the Browns have compared to the Raiders. And the Raiders, like Brad mentioned, look like they're on the cusp of being in an absolute tailspin and a place that no team wants to be. They've been on a bad downslide. They can't seem to get their footing in any of these games. Their offense looks so good at the beginning of the year. Their defense looked promising, and just every game we see them taking steps back. So as much as I'd like to take the Raiders here, I'm going to take the Browns at home, but I do think the Raiders cover that 6-point spread.
Ooh, going to be a close one.
Okay. All right. Well, we're all three taking the Browns. Next up, big Saturday night primetime game. This may be the game of the week right here. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit in this AFC picture, and I'm going to make a bold statement. I think the only 3 Super Bowl contenders out of the AFC are the Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Colts.
I agree.
With the way things are going right now. Yeah. With that said, as a Colts fan, this game scares me. This game could go either way. The Colts certainly are at home. They certainly have all the tools they need to win this game, like they should, in multiple different ways. But what is it I always say, Hefe? Don't bet against Belichick. And I saw a thing where they were joking that he's been watching every episode of Hard Knocks. He threw that in with his game film. It wouldn't surprise me. I feel like the Colts are the better team, but I'm worried. I am not. You guys know that I'm a big Frank Reich fan. I'm a huge Frank Reich fan, but Reich may get out coached in this one. If you're going to get out coached, Bill Belichick's a pretty good coach to get out coached by. That's my fear, is that the Colts are going to get out coached in this. But I am going to take Colts. I think they're the better team, and they're at home. I am going to take them this week. But it makes me sick to my stomach to think about it. So how's that?
Good call. Good call. Here is why I agree with you. I am also going to take the Colts. The Patriots been playing phenomenal. Their defense, absolutely ridiculous. Right now, looking like the best defense in the league by far. the Colts also have a really good defense, really good at creating turnovers, really good at scoring after you create turnovers. So if we look back with the Patriots versus the Bills game, I know the weather conditions, all that stuff. Even the bulk majority of the Patriots games, they have heavily relied on 3 running backs to establish a deep running game. And then it's Mac Jones's job to make a play here or there, not turn the ball over, manage the clock. Typical, systematic quarterback stuff, kind of like what Tom Brady did for 20 years. But anyways, they're going to have to rely on the rushing attack against the Colts. And this Colts defense has a pretty good rushing defense. In comparison, the Colts are giving up 111 rushing yards a game, whereas the Patriots are giving up 114. We have Jonathan Taylor. So I would put a check mark for the Colts in the rushing category, offensively, defensively. When it comes to passing, the Colts have Carson Wentz and better wide receivers. So I would put a check mark there in the passing game. So that basically leaves the defenses, which are, in my opinion, even though the Patriots statistically have been playing better, they look better, all that. But like I said at the beginning of this, the Colts create turnovers and score off those turnovers. So offensively, we're looking better. Defensively, we match up pretty evenly, in my opinion. So I think overall, the Colts are going to be able to pull this one, especially primetime game, Saturday night in Indianapolis. It's going to be absolutely loud because every Indy fan hates New England. So this is going to be a really good game. But I do think in the end, the Colts have a better football team around. They will do the things. They will feed Jonathan Taylor. Carson Wentz going to make enough plays, and the defense is going to step up and do what they do almost every single week. And the Colts are going to come out on top and be 1 to 2 games closer to moving up and possibly capturing the number 1 AFC spot if some things happen over the course of these next few weeks.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting over the next few weeks to see if that's able to happen, because I think it's completely possible. This Colts team has played so well at certain times. The games they lose, they beat themselves. I think that's the most important thing. And when you look at the Colts, is that every game, even against the good teams, when they lose to the good teams, they beat themselves. And those have still been close games, pretty much all of them. And they had a chance to win like 4 or 5 of those games, going all the way back to week 2 against the Rams. And the Patriots, this game worries me because they don't make many mistakes. It's a Belichick coach team. They don't make mistakes. As a Colts fan, knowing that they make mistakes, it worries me. But the thing that the Colts do that the Patriots don't do is explosive plays on offense. And like Zach had mentioned, the Colts are not only leading the league in turnovers created, they're leading the league in points off turnovers. That mix, if you can make a rookie quarterback make a mistake, or you get Darius Leonard, you just count out a fumble for him because he's going to punch it out from one of these running backs at some point. I think the run defense for the Colts is going to be good enough to stagnate them and put this game on Mac Jones' back, which is, in my opinion, going to favor the Colts. So in this game, I will also be taking the Colts. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody. I think this is going to be, like Brad said, one of the best games of the weekend, if not the best game of the year. I think this is going to be a battle through and through. Probably won't be, the most offensively explosive game we see. But I think when you talk about the chess match that football can be, I think this is going to be a great game to watch for everybody on Saturday night.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And the way I started this off, this could be another AFC Championship preview, depending on how the playoffs, how everything works out. So, and I believe both teams are that good. I really do. We've talked about all year with the Colts. We talked about it for 2 years with the Colts, but especially when Wentz came in this year, this is what we've been waiting for. We even talked about 6 weeks ago when the tide started to turn in the hole they were in, and we calculated them being to this point. This is right about where we figured. They're a little farther still in the hole than we hoped they would be, because for them to win the AFC South, I think they have to win 3 games and Tennessee has to lose 2 of the 4, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, which it's quite possible that that can happen. We'll get into the playoff picture a little bit later. But anyway, big game this Saturday night. No wonder they flex it to Saturday night prime time. Patriots at the Colts, and we're all three taking the Colts.
And this is, I mean, if you're a Colts fan or a Colts player, this is an important game. You talk about the history of these two teams, Peyton and Tom Brady. This is a new era, new quarterbacks, Carson Wentz, Mac Jones. If this is going to be a new era of rivalry, the Colts need to get on top of it right here.
That's an excellent point. And this is a place to do it. We just said the Colts have to win 3 out of their next 4 to take the AFC East. There's a monkey on their back of Bill Belichick standing in the way of the Super Bowl every year for Indianapolis. And this would be another opportunity for him to do that, to knock them down and put them in a lower seed. So excellent point. This game has a lot riding on it, and I can't wait to watch it. All right, next up is the Carolina Panthers at the Buffalo Bills. Despite what the Bills, the woes that the Bills have been going through, they're still a good football team. I'm waiting for them to get out of their tailspin at any moment. There's no way the Panthers come into Buffalo and take this game. I don't think. If they do, Buffalo has bigger problems than I thought. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I took the Panthers last week after I had ranted couple weeks ago about how I'm not going to take the Panthers anymore. I went ahead and took them, and they disappointed me yet again. So, yeah, no way I'm taking Carolina this game. The Bills, hopefully this is a game where they can do some things to get back on track because they are not looking good, which is good for the Colts because now the Bills are sitting down at the 7th seed because the Colts are in that tiebreaker. So, good for the Colts, but I think the Bills definitely rout the Carolina Panthers this week. I believe they're favored by 11. I wouldn't be surprised if they put up 14, 21 points more than the Panthers this week.
Now, this is a game that you're going to have to watch what the status of Josh Allen is. He has a foot sprain. They're talking about, he's probably going to play, but there's a chance he misses the game. He's day-to-day right now. So I guess it sounds like more of a pain threshold. Can he play through it? Is he still the same? Can he still be the same guy that they need him to be? And if he's not there, they bring in Mitchell Trubisky. Now, I think no matter who the quarterback is, the Panthers are in a spot where the offense isn't working. They just fired their OC. That obviously isn't the issue. Cam isn't playing well enough. They don't have CMC there. So, without CMC, I don't think they're going to win any games. I'd be more confident if Cam came out of the bye week and had a good game. But it didn't look pretty for most of it. So, again, no matter who the quarterback is here for the Bills, I think they're going to win this game.
All right, we're all three taking the Bills. You want to talk about a tough spot for McDermott to be in. You got to win to stay in, but you got to rest your quarterback to be able to win in the postseason. Terrible, terrible spot for him. I hate to see it because they're a good organization. He's a good coach. But, it's the way things work. All right, next game up is the Jets at the Dolphins. I'm not sold on the Dolphins hype down here. They are hyping this up like this is it. This is what they've been waiting for. They're on a 3-game winning streak, and Tua is maturing and coming to his own. Like this is suddenly a Super Bowl contender. I'm still not buying it, and you both know I'm a Dolphins fan and I like what Flores has done, but I'm still not convinced that what they have in place is what's going to be working. But there's one thing for sure: it's going to work when the Jets come down this weekend, and I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, slight correction from what you said. They are actually on a 5-game win streak. However,
thank you for the correction.
The only quality team they beat in there was Baltimore, who's been beat up all season long. So I'd take that.
The Browns beat yesterday. So
yeah. So they also beat the Texans, the Jets, the Panthers, and the Giants. So when it comes to really bad teams, the Dolphins are the superior team. So because they're playing the Jets, yeah. Absolutely, Dolphins.
Well, you should see what they're writing down here, man. They I don't know, delusional.
Did they miss how many games they lose in a row? 7. Did they miss the 7-game losing streak to the good teams?
Yeah,
to the good teams. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's
exactly.
I'll take them to win their 6th game in a row. Lucky for them, they had that horrible stretch. They're still in the playoff race, I do believe, sitting there. Yeah, 6, 7. They're at 13th looking in, but all these spots are all separated within from the number 1 seed in the AFC all the way down to 13, it's all separated by 3 games, which is absolutely crazy. So they're still in it, but it's only because they've been playing horrible teams the last 5 games. So yeah, Dolphins take the win this week.
That's how I feel too. Zach Wilson is going into games without Corey Davis now. He's out for the season. Elijah Moore was put on the IR before this last game. And, I mean, with him being the young stud at wide receiver, he looks like a star in the making. I wouldn't be surprised if they just hold him out for the rest of the year. So it's going to be hard to pick the Jets week to week. The first game without those 2 guys in the lineup, Zach Wilson goes 19 of 42 for 202, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And cool, he didn't turn the ball over. But you can't get anything going on offense. You have one of the worst defenses in the last 20 years. The points that they give up is crazy. The amount of pass yards that they're giving up, the total amount of yards that they give up on defense is pretty outrageous. And the Dolphins are the pass happiest team in the NFL. Or at least one of them. So I expect them to go into this game. Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Devontae Parker, all to have pretty good games. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them get in the end zone and the Dolphins dominate the Jets here.
Yeah, so we'll talk about this again in the playoff pictures section, but the Dolphins are sitting on the outside. I think they're 6 and 7. They're the 9th spot maybe?
No, they're down at 13th, but
they're all tied up, right?
Yeah.
What I wanted to point out is the Dolphins have the Jets this weekend. They're going to need that win because they have the Saints, which they can beat the Saints, but the Saints could beat them as well because I'm not real confident in what they got going on. But then they have the Titans and the Patriots, which are not going to be easy games. They can certainly probably beat the Titans because the Titans aren't performing as well as they probably should be. And oddly enough, that last game of the season, the last game of the season is usually played in Miami, and the Patriots have fits with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins usually win that game. But I think I would be shocked if the Dolphins take 3 out of these 4. I'm imagining probably a 2-2 out of this, and maybe even a 1-3. But we'll see with that. Anyway, we all 3 agree. The Dolphins. We're taking the Dolphins over the Jets this weekend. All right, next game up is the Washington football team at the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. Eagles beat up on the Jets, but damn, everybody's doing that. It's an interdivision game. All bets go out the window. They got the same record. I think the Eagles are a better team, and that's what I'm going to have to go with on this pick. They're at home, and I think they have a better chance of winning.
Yeah, it's really a toss-up. I want to take Washington. I feel like in my gut I should take Washington because I thought that at the beginning of the year they were the better team. But I do think that the Eagles are a better overall team than Washington right now. So with that and with the Eagles being at home coming off a bye, I'm going to go with the Eagles this week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with the Eagles too. As much I ride with Washington a lot of weeks because I have faith in the coaching and the defense, and they've looked good. They were dominating time possession, but they didn't get things going until late against the Cowboys. It sounds like Taylor Heineke's probably going to be available. I don't know why he went out of that game, came back in, then went out again. Kyle Allen fumbles the game away for Washington when they were trying to come back. And, it's not that I don't have confidence in either of these teams. This is one of the hardest picks of the week because you feel like week to week, one of these teams is trying their hardest to lose. But I think Terry McLaurin not being there for Washington is going to be like the X factor. That's really what it comes down to me is the fact that McLaurin's not there. He's in the concussion protocol. We've seen guys just even in the last couple of weeks go into the concussion protocol on a Sunday, get out by the next Sunday. But that fall that he took looked pretty hard. He looked pretty shaken up. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses this game against the Eagles. So I will be taking the Eagles off their bye week.
Okay. We're all 3 taking the Eagles. Hefe, are you going to break out your Gardner Minshew jersey this weekend?
No, don't have one of those yet. I'll be Gardner Minshew for next Halloween, though.
All right. Well, all right. So any fans out there listening, Christmas is coming up. Hefe would like a Gardner Minshew Eagles jersey for Halloween. But if somebody gets you a Gardner Minshew jersey, you have to go with the stash.
Yeah, I'll
That's
try.
part of the deal. If a
like
fan sends you a Gardner Minshew jersey, you have to do the stash.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're probably right. I hate the mustache. That's the one part of my face I make sure to always shave. But somebody really sends me a Minshew jersey, I'll do it.
And you have to dye it black.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to go with the full look. You can't half-ass it, and you gotta go all in.
I'm not growing my hair out though. I'll just get a headpiece.
Yeah, just put a bandana on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, so we are all three taking the Eagles. Next up, the Cardinals at the Lions. I shouldn't have much to say. Cardinals probably going to lock up the division. They're probably going to run this out and finish the season 15-2. The Lions finally got a win. But I want to say that I don't know if Dan Campbell's going to last in Detroit. And we've talked about this, and we hate it for their fans. And that guy's got those guys playing their ass off, man. I hope he can figure out how to put the people around him for X's and O's to go along with the passion he brings. Because when you look at what that jackass Urban Meyer, what he's doing and how he's reacting after their losses, and you look at this guy's almost in tears every time they lose a game they could have won. I have become a huge Dan Campbell fan this season. I love the energy and the passion that he brings. I would love for them to upset the Cardinals because I have no stake in that game with the Cardinals. I don't care what they do. No offense. I don't dislike the Cardinals. I'm just talking about they were playing the Colts or, somebody that I root for. But with that said, there's no chance. This could be an ugly game, to be quite honest. It could be 50-3 or something, but I'm taking the Cardinals.
All right, let me ask you this because I'm fairly certain we're all going to take the Cardinals here. The spread is in favor of the Cardinals by 14. Do you think the Lions can keep it within 14?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
If the Lions have too many injuries, like the reason I'm not blaming Dan Campbell for what's happening with the Lions this year is because he came in to this season with easily the worst roster in the NFL. I mean, top to bottom, worst roster in the NFL. And now their good players are out. DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, their backup running back Jamal Williams out. So, what are they going to do on offense? Probably nothing. So I expect the Cardinals to definitely be able to cover that with ease.
You think they can get a shutout?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I could see 38-0 is a realistic score for that game.
I agree. I agree.
Right. Write it down, 38-0. Hey, Hefe, what was the thing you told me? What did we write down last week that we were supposed to remember? Remember you said mark my words on this? Oh, you don't remember.
I know there's a moment, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Review the tape.
Yep, gonna have to go back. Why don't all of our listeners go back to last week? Press play on YouTube. Let it run.
All right, so are we done with this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all three taking the Cardinals, and you should too. But damn, Dan, go get them. I'd love to see an upset. I'd love to say I was wrong with this game because everybody else will get it wrong too, so it won't be big damage. All right, next game up is the Cowboys at the Giants. So I wasn't convinced about the Cowboys, and then I got on the Cowboys bandwagon, and then they pulled the Vikings on me. They've kind of been up and down. I think the Cowboys are good, and I think they're really good, and I think they're good enough that they deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't expect them to do much when they get into the playoffs. I don't expect them to go far, but that's a conversation for 3 or 4 weeks from now. For this game, it's interdivision. It is in New York. It's a big game as far as the NFC East, but I still don't think the Giants have any business being in this game. They're outclassed, and the Cowboys should win this one fairly easily.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cowboys favored 10.5. I think they'll easily cover that. I'm pretty sure Daniel Jones is out. I don't know. Hefe, you probably know more about his injury. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to it, but I'd assume that they're probably going to shut him down for the year would be my guess. If they were smart, they would do that. They would continue to lose because this season's a lost cause. And obviously a better draft pick. I'm sitting here looking at half of the injury report. I know Kadarius Toney's out as well. I'm sure there's other marquee people. It's the Giants are just a bad football team. The Cowboys, although, yeah, they are good. They will get in the playoffs. I agree. They probably won't do anything while they're in there. They should easily win this game. I think they'll cover that 10.5.
Yeah, this is a tricky one for me because the Cowboys just don't look right. Even in a win, when they were up 24-0, they almost let that slip. Taylor Heineke doesn't go out of the game, they probably lose because Kyle Allen doesn't fumble that away. So, week to week, the Cowboys, they have so many offensive pieces that they're going to have their moments where they look really good on offense. But they have too many of those lulls in games where they can't get anything going. And, it looks like Daniel Jones could be out for the year. That is definitely an option that's on the table right now. There's really no recent reports that suggest that he might be back for this game. So with Mike Glennon in there, as much as I don't have confidence in the Cowboys, Mike Glennon is a terrible quarterback. He was 17 for 36 in this last game. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Most of his passes were to running backs and tight ends. So, they're not getting anything going on offense. The only reason they were even able to score in this last game is because the Chargers can't stop the run, and they have Saquon Barkley on the roster. So, I expect, will they cover? Yeah, probably. With Skycam at quarterback, the Cowboys probably cover in this game.
All right. We're all
Did
three.
Did you call him Skycam?
Skycam, yeah, because his neck is like 8 feet long.
I hadn't heard that one. That's good.
All right. We're all three taking the Cowboys this week against the Giants. All right. This next game up, this is the Titans at the Steelers. By all intents and purposes, 78% of the people pick the Titans. I'm picking the Titans. I would imagine both of you are taking the Titans. I do want to go on record as saying the Steelers have a way of fucking things up, man. And they're in Pittsburgh. And I'm praying to God that the Steelers pull this one out. I think they can. I think the likelihood is in the end they won't, but they are very capable of disrupting the Titans' plans and pulling out a win here. But I have to take the safe pick and take the Titans.
Yeah, I'm not going to take the Titans here. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
Ooh, I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, it's the Titans without Derrick Henry. All bets are off, in my opinion. I know they got some stud receivers. They have A.J. Brown. They have Julio Jones. But what really makes that Titans offense was Derrick Henry, and him not being there completely changes the complexity of their offense. And their defense isn't very good either. I know the Steelers struggling, playing like crap. They've lost 3 out of the last 4. Their 5th game they tied. They barely squeaked out a win against the Ravens, but they're at home. The Steelers are one of those teams where they can look really good one week, look horrible the next week. I think being at home against an opponent like the Titans, they'll play decently well this week. I think they will get the upset over Tennessee. When it comes to the spread, Tennessee's only favored by 2. So the bookies are making it a really close game. So anything can happen, but I'm going to tip my hat to the Steelers here to take out the Titans.
I try when I'm making these picks, take my bias out of it, right? Because, of course, I want the Titans to lose. But even with all the injury, they've had over 100 people on their active roster this year because of all the different injuries that they've had at all the different positions. Like, when you talk about hurt football teams, they've been one of the most hurt, and they're still 9-4, which is extremely impressive. So it's hard to pick against them. Julio Jones is back in the lineup. Antonio Brown is still going to be on the IR for this game. Obviously, Derrick Henry's not there. And it's weird to not have confidence with the team after they shut a team out, even if it's a bad team, but to only be able to put up 20 points against Jacksonville after the week that Jacksonville had and the way that they looked in the game, Tennessee should have been able to do more, and they weren't. And I think that the Steelers are going to be able to do enough and showed us that they can do enough as long as they let Ben Roethlisberger just play. I think it was pretty evident when they let him start running the offense and doing what he does. He's better than the offensive coordinator that they have because everything was working for that offense in the fourth quarter. So I think the Steelers, have a lot of young playmakers that are going to make plays in this game against a Tennessee defense that just isn't very good. And I think Mike Tomlin is the X factor in this game for me because he's never had a losing season. And right now the Steelers are 6-6-1. And so I believe the Steelers get a win and get above 500 for Mike Tomlin.
So that's an interesting point that I hadn't thought of when you threw in Mike Tomlin's record. He never has gone below 500 before. At this point, I don't know. That's really on their mind as much as getting in the playoffs, but it's certainly something to think about for sure. So, all right. So, Hefe, who did you say you were taking? I missed that part.
I'm taking the Steelers.
So you're both taking the Steelers.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
I
hope I'm wrong. And if Steelers win here, that'll make the AFC North race even more spectacular. We got a lot of fun football the next 4 weeks. It's really getting good. A weird, wacky season is going to make for a hell of a finish. All right, next game up, the 2021 Toilet Bowl with the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville shit show. At this point, I think, as bad as the Texans are, I think the Jaguars are absolutely in the toilet and getting worse. I mean, I don't know if the Texans are getting worse. I don't know if they're getting better, but I don't know if they're getting worse. I think the Jaguars are just completely coming apart at the seams. I don't want to pick either of these teams. I don't know. And the other thing is this going to be like a 9-6 game, or is this going to be like a 48-44 game? I don't know I don't know anything about this. I can't take the Jags. That jag-off Urban Meyer has just got to go. If they fired him today, then I would probably pick the Jags because they probably will get better under an interim head coach, but I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah, so I was sitting here laughing at your. I don't know if it's going to be 6-6 or 40-something, because I was sitting there thinking the same thing. I'm looking at the team stats. The Texans average 13.6 per game. The Jaguars average 13.8 points per game. The Texans are giving up 27.4 points a game, and the Jags are giving up 26.2.
Can't make this shit up, man.
So are they not going to score a bunch of points? Are they going to score a bunch of points? You just don't know. This was really just a toss-up. I literally flipped a coin on this one because I don't know. Honestly, if I were these teams, I'd be trying to lose this game because right now you're sitting at the second and third pick in the NFL draft behind the Lions. So you want to catch the Lions, hope they win a game so you could slide up in there. But I flipped a coin and the Jaguars came out on top, so I'm taking Jacksonville at home.
So this one for me seemed pretty simple. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year, Davis Mills versus Trevor Lawrence, who are you taking? I'm taking Trevor Lawrence 10 times out of 10. But the fact of the matter is that the Texans defense is, the quote unquote strong part of that team. They're pretty average, but Jacksonville has a bad defense. Like Zach mentioned, both these offenses are terrible. Trevor Lawrence, the coaching that he's getting has to be bad. I will not believe that Trevor Lawrence is a kind of NFL quarterback that's going to throw 4 interceptions multiple times a year. That's not who he's been. That's not who he is expected to be. That's not what I expect him to be. It's been terrible coaching, and it's going to continue to be terrible coaching. We've at least seen in the past when Davis Mills had to start for Tyrod Taylor, he had some success and looked like an NFL quarterback. Davis Mills was 33 for 49 in this last game, and they didn't put up a bunch of points. They scored 13 points, but again, Davis Mills looks like more of an NFL quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, and that's a huge problem. Trevor Lawrence, by the way, the franchise quarterback, just publicly let his coaches know, I need James Robinson on the field because he's too goddamn good for this team for him not to be there, and he got 6 carries in the game. So, you're arguing with your staff and your receivers. You're going completely against what your franchise quarterback wants. Like, this isn't college, dude. All these dudes are depending on you, Urban, to win games. Everybody makes money when you win games. They're trying to take care of their family. So it's a whole dysfunctional mess there in Jacksonville, and it keeps getting worse after they lose to the Texans.
Yeah, it's not It's not college, Irvin. That's why it feels like you're playing Nick Saban every week.
Yeah, exactly.
End quote. Okay, so Hefe, you're taking the Texans, right?
Yes, sir.
And Zach flipped the coin, and I'll give you that asterisk, that caveat that you flipped the coin to take the Jags. We
All
won't.
right, fair enough.
We won't tease you because it could go either way. They'll probably tie each other. Wouldn't it be awesome if it was a 0-0 tie?
Oh my gosh!
It probably hasn't been a 0-0 tie since like 1948 or something. All right, next game up is the Bengals at the Broncos for a playoff spot. This is a playoff game, basically. Playoffs? You kidding me? Bengals going into Mile High, both of them 7-6. Trying to pull up the playoff picture right here. So the Bengals are 9th and the Broncos are 10th. So this is for the tiebreaker. This is the move up and a tiebreaker. Big ramifications here. I'd like to take the Bengals because I've been trying to get on their bandwagon, but they seem to just pull a Browns maneuver every time they get an opportunity to do something. You hope that that's just working the kinks out and they're going to start putting that behind them. But they are going into Mile High. Denver isn't a dominant foe, but they're good enough at home, and I'm going to take the Broncos.
Yeah, I disagree. It's the Bengals, the last couple games, they lost the last 2 games. One was to the Chargers, one was to the 49ers. Both of those teams are pretty good. I know the records don't indicate that, but the Chargers and the 49ers are pretty sound football teams. So, and the Bengals lost in overtime to the San Francisco 49ers this last week. The Broncos, throughout the course of this season, haven't really beaten very many quality opponents. In their last 5 games, they're 3-2. They got a win over the Detroit Lions. That was pretty much a big blowout. They also beat the Chargers and they beat the Cowboys. We know how the Cowboys have been. We know how the Chargers have been. So throughout the course of the season, they haven't had very many quality wins. So for that reason alone, I'm going to take the Bengals bouncing back big and beating Denver in Denver and moving up here in the AFC wildcard standings. And like you said, this is a huge game, major ramifications. So I'll definitely be tuning into this one.
So for me, I've paid attention to the last couple Bengals games pretty closely because there's so much talent offensively and defensively. You know, they had a wonderful free agent period. They got so many good guys on defense, and the defense has been showing up. Defense plays pretty well. The offense with the turnovers, some of the bonehead mistakes Joey Burrow makes on some of his throws the last couple of weeks put the defense in a bad position. And Denver has a defense that'll make you make mistakes. They are very good on the defensive side of the ball. I think they'll be able to get to Joe Burrow a lot in this game and make him make some of those mistakes. And Zach Taylor needs to be on the hot seat. That's what it comes down to. When I watch the Bengals, they are poorly coached. There's no chance you have so much talent on a roster and you can't pull out these games. There are games that they should have won that they weren't even close in. They should have won this game against the Niners. They got themselves in a bad spot. They're very poorly coached. He should be on the hot seat. If there's a better option in the offseason, the Bengals should go after a better option because Zach Taylor is not it. And I think that bad coaching and the fact that the Denver defense is going to cause turnovers, I think Denver has a very good chance of winning this game. There are only 29% of people picking Denver here. But I saw a stat that said that when Denver runs the ball 28 times or more in a game, they're undefeated. When they have not run the ball 28 times in a game, they are 1-5. I assume somebody in their analytics department is seeing that. And with Javonte Williams coming out looking like the rookie superstar running back, and Melvin Gordon as a second horse in that stable, I think they're going to be able to run all over the Bengals here, and they're going to control the game, control the clock, and pull out this game here.
All right, so Hefe and I are taking the Broncos, and Zach is taking the Bengals. Zach, I will say that if the Bengals can pull this victory out, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and that will solidify my confidence in them a little bit more for sure. All right, next game up, Falcons at the 49ers. The Falcons appear to be starting to figure things out. I wouldn't go any farther than that. And the 49ers, in my opinion, have underachieved, but they're kind of trying to put some things together. This isn't going to be a big stellar game. I don't know. And from the playoff standpoint, where the 49ers are in the 6th spot, right? So this has big playoff implications for them. Most importantly, they're at home. I think the 49ers overall are a better team than the Falcons. So I'm taking the 49ers.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are a better team than their 7-6 record indicates. They started the season off slow. They had a lot of injuries, same thing last year, but they're starting to get healthier. They're starting to get better. They're putting up wins, whereas the Falcons, the only wins that they're pulling out are against really bad football teams. In their last 5, they are 2-3, and the only 2 wins came this last week against the Carolina Panthers, who are struggling in their own self, and the Jacksonville Jaguars 3 weeks ago. They lost to Tampa, the Patriots, and the Cowboys in that span. So I don't like where the Falcons are. I don't think they're very good at all. They're only averaging almost 19 points a game. The 49ers have a pretty good defense, a decent offense. They're getting healthy. They're playing better. So I am definitely taking the 49ers at home. They're favored by 8.5. I think they'll cover that spread.
I don't want to agree that the fact that the Falcons aren't very good. I think they have pieces in place to be a good football team after a good draft and a good free agency period. Arthur Smith is getting this team to play well. With the cast of characters he had, obviously, he came in. Julio's not there anymore. Calvin Ridley has been playing for most of the season. They've been playing a tight end at wideout. They've been playing a wideout at running back. It's been a weird season for them. I think they've gotten better as they've gone, and Arthur Smith is going to continue to get better as a coach. Unfortunately, that's not going to help them here. I don't think they're a good enough football team right now to beat another good football team, like Zach was mentioning, the record that they've had against good football teams and versus bad football teams. And the Niners are a good football team, and they've showed that they're going to be able to run all over the Falcons here. I think that's really what it comes down to is the 49ers run game. They're at home. They're going to be able to control the game by controlling the clock and get an easy win here.
Yep. All right. We're all 3 taking the 49ers. Next game up, the Packers at the Ravens. This, boys, right here is what we're going to call the exposure game. The Ravens have their 8-5 record. They've had 5 games, 5 come from behind wins. And I think they've had, 3 overtimes? 3 of those overtimes?
I do believe, yeah.
They very easily could be 5-8. And they're going to be exposed this week. The new owner of the Chicago Bears is going to waltz into Baltimore and put on a clinic. I don't want to overstate it. I don't think it's be 40-0, but there's no way in hell I'm taking the Ravens here. And more importantly, if the Bengals and the Browns can get their business taken care of this weekend, we now have a three-way tie at the top of the AFC North, with the Steelers just being one game back or 1.5 games, however that works with the tie in there. So we have a log jam at the top of the AFC North, big implications, and I do not see the Ravens beating the Packers this weekend.
Yeah, I don't either. You know how I feel about the Packers. I think they're one of the best teams in the league. They're capable of beating any team any given day. The Ravens are a good football team. They find a way to win. They've squeaked out a lot of close games this year, but overall they are 8-5. Lamar Jackson didn't play, or he got injured this last game. All reports are saying, as of today, which is Monday, I know you guys are hearing this a little bit later in the week, but Lamar should be back for this game. However, I don't think it's really going to matter. This Packers defense is pretty good. Lamar, although he is very explosive in the run game, which is what you have to shut down, you contain him, he's going to make some errors when it comes to the passing game. I don't think they're going to be able to limit the amount of errors or get enough offensive flow to compete with Aaron Rodgers, who, again, is playing at an MVP caliber level. Aaron Rodgers is sitting here with 27 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 3,200 yards on the season. The dude's an absolute magician, and you cannot count him out any game of the week. So I am taking the Packers all day to move to 11-3.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that toe injury is affecting Aaron Rodgers at all. He even said after the game that he had a setback and it got worse. And right now, surgery for them is the last resort. He's trying to just keep playing through this fractured toe that he has. But again, it doesn't seem to be affecting him. At least when he's on the field, he's still balling out. He did it against the Rams on a broken toe. Then he came back, had 300 yards, 4 touchdowns against the Bears on a broken toe. So it's basically as if he isn't injured. But Lamar Jackson, he has a low ankle sprain, which, as you guys know, isn't as bad as a high ankle sprain. So they think he's going to be able to play this week. There's a chance that he doesn't, but expect Lamar to be able to play on Sunday here against the Packers. But I think for running quarterback, even a low ankle sprain is going to affect what he does. He's Lamar. He's still more explosive than any quarterback we've ever seen in the league. But in terms of his running ability and even being able to make an accurate throw, having to set his feet, and get planted and make the throw, I think that ankle is going to be able to affect him. And we already know the deficiencies that he has in the passing game. So it's going to be another rough day for the Ravens. Zach said, he doesn't think it'll be 40-0. I could see that being an outcome in this game. I think this can get really bad.
Yeah, that was me that said that. And
Brad,
yeah, I was about to say, like, Aaron Rodgers would put up 40 on anybody.
Yeah. It could. I don't think it will. But you both make great points. And if the Packers defense can stall the Ravens offense, the Ravens aren't going to stop Aaron Rodgers. So there's your potential 40-0 game. I don't think it'll be that, but like I said, I think the Ravens are going to get exposed, and I think the Ravens are good, like you both mentioned. They do find a way to win, and that is critical. But we're getting down to the point where we're going to start to see who's a real contender and who's not, and this is going to expose the Ravens, I'm afraid. So anyway, we're all three taking the Packers, and you should too. Next game up is the Seahawks and the Rams. I don't have a whole lot to say about this because I don't like talking about that gum chomping jackass, but I feel sorry for the Rams. It just seems like it's just one thing after another, kind of like it's been with the 49ers of just trying. They can't just get their shit together. Something keeps happening. Sean McVay's a good coach. I think by all rights they should win this game, but it's an NFC West game. It's an interdivision game. All bets go out the window. The Rams have having COVID problems. But I'd like to think they're just going to get it straightened out and make a push for the postseason. And they're at home. So I'm taking the Rams this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Seahawks are a dumpster fire. I know they won a couple games in a row. They beat the Texans. Ooh, big deal. They beat the 49ers, who are getting better, like I was talking about earlier. However, it was a divisional game, so anything can happen there. They still only squeaked that one out by 7 points. But I think the Seahawks, I've been saying it all season long, they're heading in the wrong direction. The whole Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll thing, it's over. They're getting a divorce at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Pete Carroll is gone and they retain Russ. So yeah, I'm taking the Rams in this game. I think the Rams are a better football team. I know they've had their struggles. They're going through a COVID thing, but I'm definitely taking Los Angeles against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking them too, and I'm not confident with it because we've seen. I feel like I say it, every week. You can take Stafford out of Detroit, but you can't take Detroit out of Stafford. He's made some bonehead mistakes in some big situations for them, and they've lost games because of it. And Russell Wilson and this offense, they've looked good the last couple of weeks. After Russ came back, it didn't look good for a couple of weeks. I thought this whole offense was falling out. But, granted, against weaker opponents, but the offense has started to find the rhythm again. Sometimes you need a bad opponent to get right and then find that rhythm again. They're getting DK involved. They're getting Tyler Lockett hit down the field. Russ being the best deep ball passer in the league, he's finding that formula again. So I'm not ultra confident in picking the Rams, but I think Jamal Adams being out is going to be a big deal in this game. So even though it looks like Darrell Henderson may not be there again, I believe this time because of COVID, I do think the Rams are able to get the division win here.
All right, so we're all three taking the Rams in this big. I was going to say big NFC West matchup. That's a little over dramatic. It's not really that big, but but it could have big implications for the Rams if they could drop this to the Seahawks. But I don't think they will. We're all three taking the Rams. Next up is same situation, NFC South, Saints and the Buccaneers. This is one of those games where they give each other fits. But like we talked about with the Chiefs earlier, the Buccaneers are starting to get better, and that's scary. It's really scary. And we talked about, Arians said he didn't expect to win a Super Bowl last year. He thought it would be this year, and they're starting to get better. And Brady knows what he's up against. The guy's just ridiculous. It's just got to the point where it's just ridiculous. You can say all you want about cheating or all the bullshit anybody wants to say. The guy is fucking ridiculous. He knows what it takes to win. I don't see this game being a problem. I see this being a formality. I'm taking Tampa Bay at home.
Yeah, you have to take Tampa here. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They did this last year. They started off, everybody's like, oh, Tampa Bay, are they going to do it? Towards the end of the season, they got hot, went on a Super Bowl run. The same thing is happening now. They've rattled off 4 wins in a row. I know they beat Buffalo this last week in overtime, but they're turning it up. They're getting better. They're putting up 31.5 points a game, only giving up 22.8. They have the best rushing defense in the league. The Saints are struggling. They're trying to find their identity. They're trying to find a quarterback capable of producing some points. It's just not happening this season. Tampa Bay favored by 11. I wouldn't be surprised if they cover that and then some this week.
Yeah, this is a weird one, right? Because it feels like the Bucs are like the guaranteed answer for who's going to win this game. But don't forget, ever since Brady showed up in Tampa Bay, he hasn't beat the Saints. Even this year with Jameis, when Jameis was still healthy and playing, he hasn't beaten the Saints as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. But the reason I believe he will this time is because, the Bucs are getting better because they're getting healthier. They're getting so many guys back on defense over the last couple of weeks. The defense is starting to step up. The offense is the offense. They've been stacked on offense. Even without Antonio Brown there, they're stacked on offense. So what I think it comes down to here is the fact that the Saints are going to have to rely on Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara and their rushing ability. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously, their front four is nasty. They can get after the quarterback. But they have Devin White and Levante David, who are 2 very athletic linebackers who can stay with both Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill, so they won't get loose on them and be able to break out any of those big plays. So I don't know if they cover because Brady, this Saints defense is still really good. The offense for the Saints is up and down right now. Probably not going to have a very good day, but the Saints defense gives Brady some problems. I think they do again, and Saints cover in this game.
I don't know. I just don't know if they can generate enough offense. That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, that's really the big worry in this game is can the Saints put the offense together at all?
Yeah. All right, so we're all three taking the Buccaneers in to win. All right, last game, the Vikings at the Bears pisses me off, but the Vikings are a much better team than the Bears are, and Matt Nagy needs to go. So I'm reluctant. I'm saying it. I don't know. I hope you guys waited to see who I was going to take before you take your picks, but I'm going to take the Vikings.
I was really hoping you wouldn't say the Vikings so I could take the Vikings here. It's the Bears, Nagy. It's just not good. But I have to take Minnesota. But because you're taking Minnesota, I really want to switch my pick. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick to my guns here and go Minnesota.
This is a game. Well, first of all, I made my pick before you made your pick. So I didn't switch up here, but I'm actually taking the Bears in this game, which is not something I expected to do because I'm not a Nagy guy. I don't think Justin Fields is very good. But the Vikings, they keep games close. They don't know how to play in a blowout game. They tried that, and they were like, oh, no, guys, you can catch up. This isn't fun for us anymore. So I expect the Bears to somehow, some way be able to stay in this. And because Vikings are the Vikings, I expect Justin Fields to make something crazy happen at the end of the game to be able to beat the Vikings. It's not, much of a football analysis there as much as it is. I don't think the Vikings can close games. even against this Bears team that is very good. And I think David Montgomery, ever since he came back from injury, he's been really, really good when he gets the ball in his hands. So I think there's going to be a lot of rushing in this game, and the Bears are going to be able to control the clock a little bit. Look, if Thielen's in this game, I might change my mind. But right now, I just have one of those feelings that I need to take the Bears, and the Vikings are going to fuck up a perfectly good opportunity to get back to 500. So I'm taking the Bears on Monday Night Football.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. So there you go. Zach and I are taking the Vikings, and Jeff is taking the Bears. All right. So running down the playoff picture real quick, as we're looking at it, the Patriots are 9-4, first in the AFC East. I don't think they're going to be unseated there. Titans are 9-4, top of the AFC South. I expect them to drop a couple games, so I expect them to move down. Not only move down from number 2, but they may actually flip flop with the Colts if things go well for the Colts, and drop down to a wild card spot. The Chiefs are third place at 9-4, top of the AFC West. I don't expect that to change. I expect them to lock that up and move up and challenge the Patriots for that number 1 seed as they move forward. The Ravens are fourth, currently 8-5, the top AFC North. That is wide open. Any 4 of these teams can actually win this division. I don't think the Steelers have as high a probability as the other 3, but anyone can win this division. The Chargers are in 5th place, 8-5. The Colts are 6th place, 7-6. The Bills are 7th place, 7-6. But we have to note that the Browns are also 7-6. The Bengals are also 7-6. The Broncos are also 7-6. The Steelers are 6-6-1, and the Raiders are 6-7, and the Dolphins are 6-7. So we really are going to have a fun stretch of football in the AFC coming down these last 4 weeks to see how this shakes out. All things being said, the Chargers are in control of their own destiny. The Colts are in the control of their own destiny. I think the Bills are too, but that last spot, the Browns and the Bengals could certainly shake some things up. And the Broncos, if the Broncos beat the Bengals, hell, I don't even know. Anything you guys want to add here? Because this is just chaos.
No, it's 3 games separate the number 1 spot from the 13th spot. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, 13 seeds with 13 teams in one conference with at least 6 wins. I would assume this is the first time in NFL history that this happened. I haven't heard that, but this is unreal what's happening this season in the AFC.
Good point. All right, so in the NFC, we're looking at the Cardinals at 10-2 atop the NFC West. I expect them to, bar disaster, they should get this number 1 seed. The Packers are right behind them at 10-3. Top of the NFC North, and the Buccaneers are also at 10-3 in 3rd spot, top of the NFC South. But the Cardinals are in control of their own destiny to retain that number 1 seed if they can win out, and they just might do that. The Cowboys are 4th, 9-4, top of the NFC East. I don't see that changing as well. The Rams are 5th at 8-4, and they're 2 games ahead of the 49ers in 6th spot. The Rams also control their own destiny. If they can put some wins together, they should be able to lock up that 5th spot. But from there, when we go, the 49ers in 6th at 7-6, Washington at 7th spot at 6-7, the Vikings 6-7, the Eagles 6-7, the Falcons 6-7, the Saints 6-7. We got a lot of jockeying for these last 2 spots as well. Just as entertaining, and it's the parity this season is remarkable. With the chaos that we've seen through the first half of the season, it's really going to make for some good football here in the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. It's I don't really have a whole lot to say. I think the Eagles, the Vikings have a chance to slide in there, but other than that, I don't see the Saints have to beat the Buccaneers if they want a chance getting in my opinion. But other than that, I don't see very many other teams on the back end of the NFC being able to squeeze their way into the wild card here.
I mean, after what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, I think 5 and 6 are probably set. I think the Eagles probably get in over Washington, which is going to be helped when the Eagles beat Washington this weekend. The only other thing I want to combat here is the fact that you've multiple times in this show said that the Cardinals are probably going to sweep the rest of the season, but the Cardinals play the Colts in Week 16, and God damn it, on Christmas Day, the Colts are getting that win.
That's right. Tell them, Hefe.
All right, I stand corrected. Then we might.
By the way, if the Colts win the next 2 weeks, that's 2 number 1 seeds the Colts have beat to get there.
Okay. That's interesting to note that. It also, if the Cardinals do drop one, then we have a 3-way tie in the NFC. So this is what we watch for. This is when it's getting exciting. So, all right. So that does it for another episode of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. We certainly appreciate your support. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, all that. Catch us on WUBI Ubiquity Radio on Thursdays at 5 Eastern, 2 Mountain Standard, I think is Arizona time. And of course, we will see you back here again next week for week 16, right? So until then, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the games. We got a lot to talk about, and we'll see you next week. Deuces.